Prior to getting into that, I sent you guys an email about a resident with a potential warrant article regarding motor vehicle tax or motor vehicle registrations. I'm not sure if you guys want to discuss that at all. I got passed over during budget season, and he's here.
I read into that RSA. It was kind of confusing and convoluted.
He'll be able to speak more about it.
Potentially be used towards.
He'd be able to speak more about it if you guys are okay with bringing him up, or.
Are they here?
Basically, it's a proposal from the Senior Resource Committee to put a fee on the motor vehicle registration in town, and then to exclusively use those fees to support the senior center, senior needs, I guess I would say.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't
read
into it as that
Have I got that
direction.
about right?
Yeah,
For senior needs for transportation.
we just got that, and I guess I'd like more time to think about it, but
I thought I read it
I
as
think what he's
going
asking
towards
is,
transportation.
so he's up against a timeline here. So he's got a couple options. He can go to a citizen's petition and put it on, work with our attorney and put it on and ask for it to be approved. I forget, was it $5 a vehicle? $5 a vehicle. So when you go to register your car, you pay this $5 fee, and then it will go into a transportation fund for senior residents. I guess the issue is that the cart, thank you, that the cart isn't as reliable as it could be, and this would put us in a better position to help service transportation for the seniors. I think I'm getting that right.
are there other ways to fund that besides just that? I mean,
We've tried other things. It doesn't really work that well.
okay.
He has a very detailed presentation on it and everything, and I think what they're looking for is will we, if we will, I think what they're looking for is if we will entertain it and possibly move it to the ballot. That would be one thing. If we're not willing to entertain it, then they've got to get moving on a citizen's petition pretty quickly.
Do we have?
Have I got that all right?
Yes.
So can I just ask a quick question real quick? Actually, I interrupted you. Please go ahead, Ted.
My question is: do we know how many registered vehicles that we have in town?
I think there's someone here that does.
So about 44,000, give or take. So to my question regarding timeline, so citizens petitions are due what date?
The second Tuesday in January.
Second Tuesday in January. And then can a citizen's petition be pulled back past that deadline?
Past that deadline, no.
Okay.
We ran into that issue.
200,000 here.
We ran into that issue a couple of years ago where the individual put a citizen petition on, and then the council put a similar warrant article on, and we had to zero one of them out so that we weren't doing it twice. So once the citizen petition is on and past the deadline, I think it may even be once it's submitted, we can't pull it back. But I'm not 100% certain on that. I just know past the deadline, it can't be pulled back.
What are the council thoughts?
I just got the email today.
Yeah.
So I mean, I need time to.
And I guess I'd want to know.
Can he provide a little more information?
Sir, if you wouldn't mind
Sure.
coming up.
I mean,
And again, I apologize. I meant to
don't-
bring this up
yeah, I
during the
know,
public here.
I'm not suggesting we do anything. I'm just getting it.
I'm not.
Getting more information
Yes,
is always healthy, so.
Just a couple things. I think it's been pretty well. It's a pretty simple process, but
For the community, do you mind just your name and?
John
whoever-
Wilson, Tranquil Drive.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the charter or the and the Senior Resources Committee is basically what we do is to make recommendations to you folks for new services and so on for the seniors in town. So we have effectively done that, and we're requesting, I guess, that you put this warrant article on the ballot. Now, we're kind of an unusual group because we're not elected or anything, but the process is to give you the information for you to make the decision. So it would be much easier at this late date if you would put the warrant article on the ballot rather than us trying to run around and get the petition signed, which is not really in our charter to do.
So when's our next town council meeting?
It's the 6th of January.
All right, so I'm trying to think outside the box here. What if we asked the attorney to draw up a warrant article that could also could turn into a citizen's petition. What's the deadline for citizen's petition?
Date.
Second Tuesday, it's January 14th, so the next,
So that would give them a week.
Yep.
If we decided not to do it. So have her draw it up and say, this is what it looks like as a warrant article, but easily convert it into a citizen's petition if we decide on January 6th not to do it.
That's fine by me. I'd want to know, like, do we have another transportation service and lined up that we'd be using this money towards? Do we have that kind of facts and data?
Well, there's the obvious usage of the money right off the bat would be to, instead of going forward, putting the fee that we pay to CART every year, we put it into that fund and take it out, so you could actually reduce. We're talking small numbers here, but I guess it's about 30,000, isn't it? Something like
guessing we would
that.
have
About
to-
$30,000 that we could move to this fund. And then going forward, the obvious things that we could do would be to expand the CART service. Okay? Now, the advantage of doing that is if there's federal money involved, this money that you're putting into this trust fund, I think it's actually in the reg, that it can be used for match against federal money. So in the best case, the match is usually 20%. So we could raise a lot of money. If not, then we could actually contract out for services. A good example would be CART is a curb-to-curb service, okay? And so basically, that covers a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but there are people that need door-to-door service or more. So, for example, I haven't really investigated this, but we could probably contract with Easter Seals, which is up in Manchester. They don't normally come down this far, but we could contract with Easter Seals probably to supply that service to Londonderry. Another one is a lot of the towns, not a lot, a couple of them, basically have set up volunteer driver programs with paid drivers that get people to Boston.
Right, I think we've looked
Vetting.
into that before, and the insurance liability on that
I think
was.
we'd be
Yeah,
safer
yeah,
with a
yeah.
reimbursement program.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of problems with that. I'm just giving you a quick
Yeah.
review of the types of things we could do.
So
So somehow this got dropped we missed it in the budget process. That's why it's all of a sudden here.
Yeah, I mean, if we can have the attorney draw it up both ways, I mean, I'm just worried we don't actually have a service to actually go after
So
to
from a
put this money
liability
to.
standpoint, we'd have to figure out the administration of it. I think we're a lot safer doing a reimbursement type of policy so that, they submit their receipts and we reimburse.
A little more information, too.
Yeah.
We're not the first.
Yeah, Derry's been doing this for years. Derry has that fee.
Manchester and Bedford.
And then Bedford's doing it, and Manchester.
Yeah. Johnston.
Would you
always
guys be able to come back at us with who they're using?
I beg your pardon?
Would you be able to come back at us with who they're using to transport people?
Well, generally, it's CART.
CART.
Like serving southern New
Yeah.
Hampshire.
Okay, that's interesting, because I know in the past, CART wasn't able to provide us with enough service.
Ted, we've danced with CART so much through the years, but we have to say that they've really stepped up their game now. What initiated all of this is that CART is doing a phenomenal job now, but they're starting to charge our residents that need this program $2 each way, which doesn't sound like a lot. But, as we heard throughout the evening, $9 here, $4 here, it adds up, especially when you're on a fixed budget. So that's what initiated John bringing this to our committee. And this really is probably the only item we've talked about that will bring money to the budget and to really bring more additional funds in at a relatively low cost to the residents per vehicle.
One of the things that's, in terms of transportation, that this particular concept is really good for, is it would be a relatively stable funding process, okay? And transportation systems need a relatively good flow of money, okay? So, because you can't just have a transportation system, get a lot of people using it, and then say, oh, we didn't put it into the budget this year, so you people walk. This will allow us a smooth revenue stream to use, so we can pretty much guarantee transportation out if we put something in place for at least 6 months out,
Okay.
if you follow my logic.
So I agree with John on having the attorney draft proposed warrant article, and for further discussion from the council, have it written so that it could be one or the other. Is the
So
council?
the warrant article will be the same. It's just a matter of if you hand it over to them to go find 25 votes or not.
Is the council good with that?
Yeah.
Or do you need, and have a further discussion on the 6th?
And when you look further into the RSA, it does state that the monies can be used for pedestrian roadways, for bridges in the town. It's not just for transportation with cart, but it is clear that we could use it in ways that would help the entire community too. But that would help to have our attorney look at that a little bit more
Yeah,
specifically.
That wording is important. The
Yeah.
wording, because this is a long-term thing, so we have to think in the future about how we actually use this money. And right now, we're thinking that we would be primarily used for senior transportation and with people with disabilities, which is exactly what the federal matching money, if you could get it, is for, okay? And the other thing we were going to do is, there's some wording in the way the usage is laid out. There's something called pedestrian facilities, which we don't know exactly what that means. We have to find out what that definition.
Yeah.
What we'd like to do in addition to transportation is try to help eliminate some of the really dangerous parts in town for seniors in terms of getting across the street,
Yeah.
mail, and those kinds of things. And I don't know how much we can do with money with that, but I mean, that's a problem. We hear it all the time about people not being able to get out of their houses.
We'd have to look at more areas that could have crosswalks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially,
Yeah.
for
That-
example, from the Nevins, crossing 102
Yeah,
to
things
shopping
like that.
plazas.
And the money, and that's why we want to understand what this pedestrian facility is.
So I appreciate your committee coming up with this and partnering with the town. It does mean a lot. It is an option. Is the council good with
You can
at
have the
least
attorney do it, yep.
having the attorney and further discussion on the
Good.
6th?
Thank you.
Are we good with that? Is there
Processing, I mean,
Yeah.
we're short on time on this.
Yeah,
I just,
We can, like
just
everything else, we
feel
can
like
talk
we're
about
gonna
it and
rush
say
it,
no.
yeah, that's
I mean, like, don't you feel
Maybe
like,
it's $3,
Feel like
maybe it's
what?
not $5.
Right, good
I-
point. You
yeah,
can really, it
that's the
doesn't
problem.
have to
I'm
be
trying to-
5. It could
This
be
is
2 or
new,
3.
so I'm,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like
I'm not
this
asking.
is like we just cut 100,000 off the tax, and that's.
I'm not
okay.
asking the council to.
No.
I think what we're all trying to say is do you want to put it on the agenda or not? And
Yes.
If you don't want to put it on the agenda, then let's not bother. I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just asking.
Does it
guess-
need to go to the agenda? Is that what you're saying? It would need to go?
I think it would be most appropriate.
Sure. And meanwhile, have the
Well,
attorney
I'm one.
create the warrant that could be used as a citizen's petition or a warrant?
We would, from my feeling, I would strongly be more comfortable with this if you would put it on the town warrant, because there's money involved in this, okay? There's certain responsibilities that the town will be taking on. We're gonna have Justin, he's gonna have another trust fund to work with. You're gonna have to make decisions about the use of the money. Somebody will come and certainly recommend it, but it'll be something that we'll have to deal with time to time. But I think it's appropriate that, you're on this, okay, and not a citizen's petition.
Thank you. So full disclosure, if we put this on the January 6th as an agenda item, we can put it on the ballot, we can not, or we can kill it altogether, or we can adjust it. Those four things.
I'll go with whatever the majority wants to go with.
Same here.
boy.
I'm just struggling with the fact that it came so late. Like,
I guess I'll just say out loud what I'm thinking, because again, it's going so late, so I'm processing stuff, so just to let you guys in on what I'm thinking. Part of what I'm thinking is, we have a lot of traffic problems in town, and I think this mechanism of revenue would be great to address overall that, including crosswalks, including sight lines, including.
Does the
some of these
RSA
other
allow
things.
that?
I don't know, and that's where,
And that's
that's
why-
what I'm processing, like, I don't know what the RSA allows, so
So-
I haven't
so
even had
our-
a chance to think about that.
Yeah, so
We
why
get a
don't we,
legal
why don't,
opinion.
Yeah,
why don't we obtain a legal opinion?
Yeah.
Why don't we ask for a little bit of input from PD as well? And then we'll put it on the 6th agenda for further discussion and education.
yeah.
Sound good? All right, thank you both.
Thank you, thank
Really
you,
appreciate your
Sarah
input.
and Justin, too, for being our voices through this. We appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much.
And thank you for finding this,
Yes.
and just proposing the idea, that's great.
Okay, thank you.
And please note, we're not dismissing.
Yeah. We're just
We
thinking.
are not dismissing.
Though, the pedestrian part of it, though, yeah. No, we appreciate your hearing it, and it's kind of exciting. I like that Manchester and Bedford and Derry are kind of leading the way with it, or have had it for a while, but there is a lot to consider, so thank you.
Thank you.